I know we're what, 2 days, about to be 2 days off from 4K in a second. I apologize for that, but it is the 100th episode. I was trying to plan something special. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull that off. It may just have to be kind of a more interactive, longer show that we'll do just to kind of do it. And we'll plan something special maybe for the 150th episode. I should have did a better job of planning, but, I'm not gonna go a bunch of days without doing the show. That's a mainstay here. We need to make sure we're keeping on. But I am streaming over at twitch.tv/YoungRipper59, so please follow me over there. We'll be playing a little bit of Outriders demo. We've been playing we played Ultimate Alliance the other day. We've been playing some FIFA. We'll play all kinds of things. So be sure to follow me over there if you don't already. And thanks for all the support because the growth over there has been insane. Today, though, what I do certainly want to talk about is not just Deadpool 3, but more so the direction at the Marvel Cinematic Universe and how they're really sticking to this sort of idea. Some of you may know by now, and I wanted to make sure we covered it, that Kevin Feige, who is the head honcho of really everything Marvel, it's not even just the movies. They got him head of really what's going on all over the place over there when he got that semi-promotion. But as being reported, Kevin Feige says Deadpool 3 is the only rated R movie project currently in development, which is definitely bad news for Blade fans. Deadpool 3 is Marvel's only, this is from Screen Rant, R-rated movie in development. It says Kevin Feige, the cinematic world would come to be known as the Marvel Cinematic Universe, kicked off in 2008's Iron Man, later grew into the biggest franchise in the cosmos. Of course, the MCU had advantage from the start, giving Marvel Comics incredibly deep roster, blah, blah, blah. We know that. But obviously not all Marvel's famous heroes were available at the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Talked about the X-Men here. Deadpool in particular seemed like a juicy character for the MCU to, blah, blah, blah. However, given the Deadpool rated R movies, some weird family-oriented Disney taking on the character would remove his edge. Those worries were seemingly put to rest, however, when Marvel Studios chief Kevin Feige confirmed that Deadpool 3 will be rated R like his predecessors. But apparently that is not happening, and they're talking about would adopt other, let's say, R-rated films. They say as Marvel Studios chief Kevin Feige indicates, Deadpool 3 is the only R-rated film currently in development. And when you consider the long list, including Blade, of movies and shows that are being in development by way of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that does say that basically this or any of the other people that will be coming in will not be any sort of rated R situation or atmosphere when it comes to benefiting of the actual movie. Now, what's going to happen is obviously everything associated with Deadpool will be rated R. That doesn't mean that they can't bring some of those characters into Deadpool just for the sake of keeping that there. But as we know, there are some characters that are getting solo films, and it sucks that we won't be able to see them seemingly right now, because as of right now, which can change, but as of right now, they are going in the direction that a lot of people were convinced that was going to happen anyway, but you kind of held off because you knew they were getting some of these characters, and you would think, okay, they would have to make the adjustment by way of those characters, but it looks like they're not. So what is my position on this? It's unfortunate because I'm a Blade guy, you guys know, and the fact that it is not an R like rated movie sucks, namely because we've seen the success of, like, really a lot of people don't credit Blade got people back stoked on Marvel movies. I don't know if you guys remember, there was a point in time in history where Marvel sucked, like in terms of live action movies for a while there. And Blade comes up, and Blade, which a lot of people didn't even know was a Blade, they didn't know was a Marvel property years out, even after the fact. But Blade was for sure still, even with that being said, something that got people back into that, right? And in understanding that comic book film did not have to have the cliche atmosphere and could be successful. And that's what Blade showed us, all of them. And the fact that they are redoing Blade, but it seems that it'll be PG-13, means that they have to dumb it down. See, some people would look at it, and I saw people that were responding to some of the posts saying, well, this means that they can't rely on like blood, guts, and other things in order to have a good movie. But I was thinking about that. I was like, well, who said that ever made a good movie? So that's not even really a good argument or anything. But you have to understand that some characters, like the Blades of the world, you cannot maximize their potential. So while you're making the argument, some of these people are making the argument that, well, that forces them to have to get, like, I guess, more creative with their writing. I think what it does is it limits the potential of the character. Because some characters, it makes sense if they're going to be in a solo film for that to be the approach, because that's the world around them and what we're accustomed to seeing. See, that it doesn't just apply to him; it applies to some of the other characters, which they're going to be utilizing. I'd imagine at some point with them getting the rights back in characters like the Punisher, right? So, if you wanted to see, like I said, they are seeming to lead towards more recent modern depictions. What if you went with a modern depiction like Savage Avengers or something like that? Like, you can't do that without making sure that that's a rated R setup. So it sucks. I don't like to hear stuff like that because, look, I understand that the Marvel Cinematic Universe is that, yeah, it's the family-oriented thing. It's the, okay, you can take your family there and you all can get something out of it. And I can't sit up here and say that hasn't worked, because of course it has. But as your world begins to expand and you begin to invest more in these projects, the fact that you wouldn't have something that would be there, and we know rated R comic book film because of Joker and stuff and Blade, we know rated R films that in the comic book universe can work. We already know that. We know that can work. But what it does tell me is it makes me fear for the future, because unfortunately we're moving in a direction that Marvel Cinematic Universe is getting people that are part of these projects, not only that don't even give a damn about any of these characters, though they're writing them and writing the movies and whatnot, but it shows that legacy is not really anything that they care to acknowledge or respect. Now, when the constant tokenizations, you would think that gives it away, but when you won't even give Blade a rated R film, you're telling us that you don't give a damn about any of that. You're gonna try to force Blade into this, and it doesn't mean that the movie's gonna suck, but to me, already you're starting behind what even exists before you in the previous Blade films that we've seen. But we expect Blade to be in a part of when you're dealing with the world that he generally is in. You can't not have blood there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't not have that, and they're gonna limit that if they are making this a rated R or not making it a rated R film. So I want to know what you guys think about it. Let me know. Man, it just seems to confirm the direction, which I fear. I really do fear for the direction that the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going in, because they're gonna move away. Now that they have the power and they have the control and they have the minds of really everybody, because it's like the biggest franchise out there right now, they're going to move in a direction that says, you know what made us great is that's not necessarily as important. And that was what made them great, was they built this universe from the ground up, but everything was a respect to the character. Like, not to say that every movie was awesome, but as you got closer, certainly to Endgame, you started to see more kind of odd castings. You watch their conferences or Comic-Cons, and you see some of the stuff that they're going in the direction. It's like they don't seem to care about that. Now it's starting to become more about things that have less to do with the characters and more to do about the people behind the scenes massaging and stroking each other's egos.